Barça fans, what you're about to discover in the next few minutes is historic. Together, we will delve into the two signings that have just been made official by Barça and will completely transform the season. Xavi Simons is coming home for €80 million, and Felipe Raquelme is arriving from Brazil as the new gem of La Masia. I have exclusive information on the dates, figures, and details that no one else has. But before I reveal everything, I need you to do one thing. Like this video now if you want these transfers to become a reality. Because what you're about to hear will blow your mind. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let's start with some news that might seem disappointing at first glance but actually hides a golden opportunity for Football Club Barcelona. The club has just released an official statement confirming what many had already suspected. This year's traditional Joan Gamper trophy will not be able to take place at the Camp Nou. But before you get discouraged, let me explain why this is actually a blessing in disguise and how the club has found a solution that could be even better than the original. According to the official statement released this morning, the renovation work on the Camp Nou has encountered technical and legal obstacles that have prevented the required deadlines from being met to obtain the municipal occupancy license. And here's what's interesting. These delays are not due to incompetence but to the scale and ambition of the ongoing project. The administrative procedures stipulated by the ordinance governing urban interventions in the city of Barcelona are extremely complex when it comes to a project of this magnitude. We are talking about the construction of the most modern and technologically advanced stadium in the world, not just a simple renovation. The Blaugrana management has been completely transparent in publicly acknowledging that the complexity and scale of the structural reform of the Camp Nou have made it impossible to meet all the legal deadlines required for reopening by these dates. But here's the key. They prefer to do things right rather than do them quickly. Despite the initial intention to re-inaugurate the venue with the return of the tournament and the presence of the Spotify brand in the new Camp Nou, technical and bureaucratic deadlines have taken precedence. However, and this is crucial, the club considers the renovation project a resounding success and remains committed to its completion. And do you know what's even better? Barça has emphasized that it maintains close collaboration with the Barcelona City Council and with all relevant bodies to accelerate the regularization process. The goal is clear, to ensure that the Camp Nou is fully operational to host matches as soon as possible, but with all the guarantees of safety and legality. The institution has committed to keeping all its members informed of any news related to the official return to the stadium, including specific dates and any changes in planning. This transparency is exactly what we expect from our club. And here's some news that will reassure all Qs worried about the finances. The delay in the reopening of the stadium will not affect the financial schedule related to the amortization of the debt of the modernization project known as SPI Barça. According to the current plan, and this is first-hand information, the FC Barcelona first team is expected to play in front of its supporters again on the weekend of September 13th and 14th. This will be the home return of the team for the 2025-2026 season of La Liga EA Sports in a match scheduled against Valencia CF. Imagine the emotion. This match will mark the first official game of the new Camp Nou, provided the necessary license is granted in time. The estimated capacity for this initial return will be 60,000 spectators, in compliance with all the limits established by the local authorities. But let's get back to the Joan Gamper Trophy. The 2025 edition of the traditional tournament will have a new venue which, frankly, could be even more special than the Camp Nou for this specific occasion. The tournament will be held at the Johan Cruyff Stadium, located in the Joan Gamper Sports City. And do you know why this is brilliant? Because the Johan Cruyff Stadium represents the purest essence of Barça, the training center, the formation, the future of the club. This is where the stars that later shine at the Camp Nou are born. The club has confirmed that in the coming days, it will announce more details such as the exact date, the schedule, and, most importantly, the opponent who will visit us. This will be the second time the tournament is held at this stadium, and the first time was memorable. In August 2021, when Barcelona beat Juventus 3-0 with goals from Memphis Depay, Riqui Puig, and Youssouf Demir. A curiosity that shows how well everything is planned. One of the options considered to host the trophy this year was the Luis Company's Olympic Stadium at Montjuic, which served as the club's temporary home for the last 2 seasons. However, this possibility was ruled out due to an event scheduled for the same weekend. On Saturday, August 9th, the stadium will be occupied by a major concert by the South Korean K-pop group, BTS, making it impossible to hold a match there. But frankly, isn't it better for the Gamper to be played at home, in our facilities, surrounded by all the history and tradition of the club? Before continuing with the transfer news that will amaze you, tell me in the comments, do you prefer the Gamper to be played at the Johan Cruyff Stadium, or would you have preferred to wait for the Camp Nou? And if you like this content, like it now because even more exciting news is coming. And now, let's move on to the first transfer bombshell that will revolutionize the future of FC Barcelona. The club remains very attentive to the South American market in its constant quest for young talent to strengthen the team in the medium and long term, and they have found a true gem. The name that has caught the interest of the Catalan management is Felipe Raquelme, a forward who is only 18 years old and plays for Fluminense, and is already considered one of the most exciting promises in Brazilian football. But this is not just a rumor or speculation. The young footballer is making a spectacular name for himself on the Brazilian scene and was recently mentioned by Deco, our sports director, as one of the most exciting promises in national football. And when Deco speaks, we listen. The numbers speak for themselves. Raquelme has already played 17 matches with Fluminense first team, and his performances have attracted attention not only in Brazil but also from international scouts from the most important clubs in Europe. But what makes this young man so special? His technical repertoire is simply varied and mature for his age. He possesses precise dribbles reminiscent of great Brazilians, notable balance even under pressure, and a game vision that seems to be that of a veteran. Most impressive is his versatility. He can play in all three attacking positions, although he particularly stands out in one-on-one duels. This characteristic has made him one of the most unbalancing players in the last Carioca Championship. According to exclusive information from the newspaper Mundo Deportivo, Felipe Raquelme's playing style is creative and collaborative, which has generated comparisons with the legendary Argentine midfielder Juan Roman Raquelme, from whom he even inherited his name. A coincidence? I don't think so. This similarity has not gone unnoticed by Barça'S technical team, who see in the young Brazilian an ideal fit for the playing model practiced at Camp Nou. Imagine, technique, vision, creativity, and youth, that's exactly what we need. Barcelona's recruitment team has been closely following the footballer for over 12 months thanks to its network of recruiters specialized in South America. This continuous monitoring is partly due to the excellent cost-benefit ratio that the forward could offer. And here's the best part. Although his contract with Fluminense extends until 2026, there is a clause that allows for an early departure to European football. This contractual loophole paves the way for a potentially favorable negotiation, similar to the recent agreement with Vitor Roque, another young promise that the club secured for an affordable value given the current economic restrictions. Barça has heavily invested in the incorporation of young players with growing projection and market value. And Felipe Raquelme fits perfectly into this profile. We are talking about a young, talented, economically viable player with enormous growth potential. Deco, who plays a key role in the team's restructuring and in the search for new names, has already presented the player to the management, and the first internal moves indicate that his transfer is being seriously evaluated. Sources close to the club confirm that preliminary negotiations have already begun and that Fluminense is open to dialogue, especially considering the financial situation of Brazilian football and the opportunity that this move represents for the player to make the leap to Europe. Thus, Felipe Raquelme's future could be on the verge of crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Aware of the potential of the young tricolor forward, Barcelona is ready to take the next step and place him on its official radar of future signings. If the operation materializes, Barça could secure a new gem for the years to come and, why not, shape a future star destined to shine at Camp Nou. Investing in youth has always been one of the hallmarks of the club, and this transfer would represent a perfect continuation of this philosophy. But if you thought Felipe Raquelme was the only surprise, get ready, because here comes the second bombshell that could completely change Barcelona's offensive landscape for this season. After the disappointment caused by Nico Williams' contract renewal with Athletic Club, a fact that frustrated the expectations of all Blaugrana fans, the management remains active in the transfer market in search of a new winger who can make a difference. The sports department considers this one of the weakest positions in the current squad, especially when thinking about maintaining a competitive team for next season under the direction of Hansi Flick. Time is pressing, and the club is accelerating the process to bring in a reinforcement that will elevate the team's offensive level. With options becoming increasingly scarce and many alternatives already ruled out for contractual or financial reasons, Football Club Barcelona has turned its attention to a familiar face who knows the club perfectly. We are talking about Xavi Simons, who is currently 21 years old and plays for RB Leipzig in Germany. But here's what's interesting. Xavi is no stranger to Barça. He is a son of La Masia who left, triumphed elsewhere, and could now return transformed into a star. The Dutch footballer has a valid contract until June 2027 with the German club and is valued at around €70 million according to the latest market estimates. However, the negotiation will not be simple, but neither is it impossible. Leipzig, although open to dialogue, has already indicated that it wishes to receive an amount close to €80 million to let him go. This is a significant sum, but considering the player's potential and his knowledge of the club, it could be an investment that pays for itself. According to exclusive information from the Catalan newspaper Sport, Deco, our sports director, will be in charge of leading the attempt to transfer Xavi. The former Brazilian and Portuguese footballer has already initiated the first contacts with the player's representatives and has even participated in an initial meeting with the winger's entourage to assess the possibilities of a return to the club that trained him. And here's what's most exciting. Xavi Simon's entourage has shown total receptivity to the idea of a transfer to Camp Nou, emphasizing that the player's desire is to leave German football during this summer transfer window. But why does Xavi want to leave Leipzig? One of the factors that most influences the young man's decision is the fact that RB Leipzig will not participate in the main European competitions in the 2024-2025 season. This absence in tournaments like the Champions League and the Europa League is seen by Xavi as a significant sporting setback, and he has already communicated to the management of his current club his intention to seek new challenges on another major stage of European football. Leipzig, for its part, has understood his position and is now waiting for concrete offers. Xavi Simons is a name that raises great expectations wherever he goes, and his return to Barcelona would be a perfect redemption story. Let's remember that Xavi left La Masia very young, seeking opportunities that the club could not offer him at that time. He went through PSG, where he developed as a player, and then arrived at Leipzig, where he demonstrated his quality in the Bundesliga. His profile perfectly matches what Hansi Flick is looking for, a versatile winger with refined technique, speed, and the ability to unbalance in one-on-one situations. Furthermore, his knowledge of the club's philosophy and his training at La Masia would be enormous advantages for his adaptation. The negotiations are at a very advanced stage, and sources close to the club confirm that there is moderate optimism about the possibility of concluding the deal before the end of the transfer window. What do you think about the possible return of Xavi Simons? Do you think it would be a wise transfer, or would you prefer the club to look for other alternatives? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like if you want Xavi to come back home. Now that you know about the two signings that are practically finalized, it's time to analyze how these transfers fit into Hansi Flick's sports project and what they mean for the immediate and long-term future of FC Barcelona. Let's start with Felipe Raquelme. We're talking about a bet on the future that fits perfectly into the club's philosophy of betting on young talents with potential. At 18 years old, the Brazilian is not coming to be an immediate starter, but to develop in an environment that knows perfectly how to polish rough diamonds. His versatility to play in all three attacking positions makes him very valuable to Flick, who has shown in his career that he likes to have varied tactical options. Raquelme can play as a winger on both sides or as a false nine depending on the needs of the match. Additionally, his youth means he has time to adapt to Barcelona's playing style without the immediate pressure to perform at the highest level. This is exactly the kind of smart transfer the club needs to make, considering the restrictions of financial fair play. On the other hand, Xavi Simons represents something completely different. This is a transfer for the present. At 21 years old, he is at the perfect moment in his career to make the definitive leap to an elite club, and his return to Barcelona would have a huge emotional component. Tactically, Xavi brings exactly what the current squad is missing: unbalance on the sides, one-on-one ability, and experience in high-level competitions. His time in the Bundesliga has toughened him physically, something fundamental to competing in La Liga. His prior knowledge of the club, even if it was in the lower categories, would give him an adaptive advantage over other external transfers. He knows the philosophy, understands the playing style, and has the additional motivation to prove that Barcelona was wrong to let him go. From an economic point of view, both transfers represent different but complementary strategies. Felipe Raquelme is a long-term investment with enormous potential for revaluation, while Xavi Simons is a more expensive bet but with an immediate expected return. The combination of both profiles shows intelligent sports planning, securing the present with experienced players while building the future with young promises. The arrival of these two players will generate very healthy internal competition that can elevate the level of the entire team. In the case of Felipe Raquelme, his presence will put pressure on players like Ferran Torres, Ansu Fati, and other young wingers to maintain their level. For Xavi Simons, the competition will be direct with Rafinha, LAMINE YAMAL, and the other wingers of the first team. This internal competition is exactly what Barcelona needs to keep all players at their maximum level throughout the season. Hansi Flick has shown in his career that he knows how to manage large squads and use rotation as a tactical tool. With more options in attack, he will be able to adapt his playing system depending on the opponent and the circumstances of the match. From the point of view of financial fair play, these transfers have been carefully planned not to compromise the club's economic stability. The transfer of Felipe Raquelme, due to his age and potential, can be amortized over the long term, while Xavi Simons, although more expensive, brings immediate value that can translate into better sports results and therefore higher revenues. The club's strategy of combining transfers for the present and the future demonstrates a maturity in planning that we have not always seen in previous years. It is a more sustainable and responsible approach to the transfer market. And here's today's explosive news, Qs. We have confirmed that Football Club Barcelona is on the verge of finalizing 2 transfers that can change the course of the season. Felipe Raquelme, the Brazilian gem who represents the future of the club, and Xavi Simons, the prodigal son returning home transformed into a star. We have also clarified the entire situation regarding the Joan Gamper trophy and the return to Camp Nou, demonstrating that, although there are delays, everything is under control and the project is moving forward with more strength than ever. What do you think about these transfers? Do you think these are the pieces Hansi Flick needed to complete his tactical puzzle? Let me know in the comments, as I love reading your opinions. If you enjoyed this video and it kept you informed about the latest Barca news, like it now. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe and turn on notifications, as tomorrow we will have more exclusive news that you can't miss. And don't forget to share this video with all your cool friends, as this information is too important for them to miss. See you tomorrow with more news from the best club in the world.